Hey guys, welcome back to more family drama revenge stories. Imagine coming home from a dream vacation and your key suddenly doesn't work. There's a lockbox on your door, a sold sign in the yard, and an email from your mom that starts with, "I'm sorry." What would you do if you found out your own family sold your house behind your back? Let's dive right into the story. So let me start with some background. I'm in my early 30s and I own my house outright. Not because I'm rich or anything, but because my grandparents on my dad's side passed away and left me their house. It was already paid off, just needed some repairs and updates when I inherited it. My dad had passed away years earlier, and since I was the only grandchild on that side, everything came to me. The house was appraised at around $400,000. It was not a mansion or anything, just a solid 3-bedroom in a decent neighborhood that had appreciated well over the years. My mom and my younger sister lived about 40 minutes away. My sister had always been the golden child in the family, and I'd made peace with that years ago. I guess my parents just didn't like me as much as her. She was charming, fun, and always had big dreams and bigger schemes. I was the boring, responsible one who worked a regular job and paid my bills on time. You know the dynamic. About a year and a half before all this went down, my sister started getting really into gambling. It started small, trips to the local casino with friends, some online poker, but it escalated fast. She'd call me at weird hours, always needing to borrow money. 100 here, a 200 there. She always had some excuse about why her paycheck had not cleared or her car needed repairs. I helped her a few times before I realized what was going on here. When I figured out it was gambling, I cut her off. I told her I loved her, but I was not gonna fund her addiction. She needed professional help, not more money to chase her losses. She did not take it well though. There was crying, screaming, and accusations that I didn't care about family, but I held firm. That is when my mom got involved. She started calling me every week, and then every few days, and then practically every day. The conversations all went the same way. My sister was in trouble, real trouble. She owed money to some very bad people. If she didn't pay, there would be consequences. Couldn't I just help out this one time? Couldn't I take out a loan against my house? Couldn't I do something? But I said no every single time. I explained that giving her money would not solve anything. She needed treatment and she needed to face consequences and get some help. However, my mom would get angry, telling me I was selfish, telling me I was letting my sister down. Sometimes she would cry, sometimes she would yell, but I did not budge. The thing is, I was not being heartless here. I offered to pay for rehab. I offered to help my sister find a therapist who specialized in gambling addiction. I even offered to go to family counseling with them, but they didn't want that. They just wanted money. Specifically, they wanted $180,000, which was apparently what my sister owed between the casinos, some online gambling sites, and yeah, some actual loan sharks who had gotten involved when their legal sources dried up. $180,000. I still cannot wrap my head around how someone racks up that kind of debt, but my sister managed it in less than 2 years. After months of this pressure, I decided I needed a break here. I'd been planning a big trip for a while, saving up money and vacation days, 6-week in New Zealand, hiking and camping, and just being completely off the grid. No phone service for most of it, no internet, just me and nature. It sounded like paradise, especially after dealing with my family's drama. I had saved up for over a year to afford this once-in-a-lifetime extended trip, but here is where I made my mistake. About 6 months before the trip, I'd had a medical emergency. Nothing life-threatening, but I needed surgery and I was gonna be under anesthesia and recovering for a while. Since I lived alone, my mom offered to help. She stayed at my place for a week, drove me to appointments, picked up my prescriptions, and so on. During that time, she had access to a lot of my personal documents because she was helping me sort through medical bills and insurance paperwork. I didn't think anything of it at the time. She was my mom and she was helping me out, and I trusted her. I had no idea that she had photographed or copied important documents while she was there, so I left for New Zealand in September. I made sure all my bills were on autopay, and I had a neighbor collecting my mail. Everything was sorted. I told my mom I would be out of contact for most of the trip and not to worry if she didn't hear from me, and she seemed fine with it. A little too fine looking back. The trip itself was amazing, many weeks of incredible scenery, challenging hikes and sleeping in tents under the stars. I felt like a new person. All that stress about my family just melted away. I remember thinking on the flight home that I needed to set better boundaries and maybe get some distance from all the drama. I landed back home on a Tuesday afternoon. I was tired, jet-lagged, and ready to sleep in my own bed. Well, I got to my house and immediately knew something was wrong. There was a lockbox on the front door, the kind of lockbox that real estate agents use, and my key did not work. I stood there for a solid minute just staring at that lockbox, trying to make sense of it, and then I saw the sign in the front yard. Sold. My house had a sold sign in the front yard. I'm not gonna lie to you, I panicked. I called my mom immediately, no answer. I called again, and on the fourth try she picked up. "Oh honey, you're back. How was your trip?" I asked her what the hell was going on with my house. There was this long pause and then she said, "I left you a note. Did you get the note?" What note? I couldn't even get in my house and she told me to check my email. I pulled it up on my phone right there in the driveway and sure enough there was an email from her. The subject line was just, "I'm sorry." I opened it and I swear my blood pressure shot through the roof. The email was long and rambling, but the gist was this. She had sold my house. She had forged a power of attorney, pretended to be me, and sold my house to some quick cash buyer for $180,000. The money had gone directly to paying off my sister's debts, and my belongings were in a storage unit across town. She had paid for the first month. The access code and unit number were in the email. She was sorry, but she had no choice. The loan sharks were threatening my sister's life. And by the way guys, if this happened to you and your entitled parents sold your house to cover the debt of your entitled sister, what would you have done in that situation? I really hope that OP will go nuclear here, because there's no way I would keep in contact with this family, because they are clearly his worst enemies. Either way, let me know what you would do in the comments, and please don't forget to like the video if you want to support me. So yeah, what kind of mother would she be if she let her daughter get hurt when she had the means to help? She knew I would be angry, but I would understand eventually. According to her, family comes first. She had done what she had to do to save my sister's life. I read that email 3 times sitting in my driveway, and each time I got angrier. She had sold my house that my grandparents left me, my house that was paid off and was my security and my home. She had essentially just taken it and sold it and decided that was okay because it was for family. I called her back and this time she answered on the first ring. "Did you read the note?" I told her yes, I had read it, and I asked her if she had really just sold my house. "I had to. They were gonna hurt her. You don't understand what these people are like. They sent her photos, horrible photos of what they do to people who don't pay. I couldn't let that happen to my baby girl." I asked her if she understood what she had done was illegal, incredibly massively illegal. "It's not illegal to help family. You would have done the same thing if you were not being so stubborn about this. I know you're upset now, but you will forgive me. We are family. Family forgives each other." That is when I told her that I was calling the police. She actually laughed at me. "For what? For saving your sister's life? For keeping our family together? You wouldn't do that. You're not that cruel." I just hung up and called the police. The officers who responded were actually great. I explained the situation, showed them the email, showed them that the house was in my name, and I'd never authorized any sale. They took a report and told me to contact a real estate attorney immediately, and they also told me this was definitely fraud and I should prepare for a long, potential legal process. I spent that night in a hotel. I couldn't wrap my head around what happened. My mom had committed multiple felonies here. She had forged legal documents, stolen my identity, and sold my property. She thought I would just forgive her because we are family. The next morning I went to the storage unit. And yes, everything was there, just thrown into boxes and piled up. My furniture, my clothes, my books, all my stuff just crammed into a 10 by 15 unit. I sorted through enough to find what I needed and then went straight to a real estate attorney office. I showed her all the documentation, the email from my mom, the police report. She listened to everything, made notes, and then looked up at me and said, "Your mother is going to prison." I asked her if the sale could be reversed and she said absolutely, because this was textbook fraud. The sale was void, the deed was forged, and I'd never authorized anything. But it would take time and it would cost money. I told her I didn't care about the cost really. I just wanted my house back and I wanted everyone involved held accountable. She got to work immediately, and within a week she had filed motions to void the sale. She had also discovered some very interesting things about the buyer. It turned out this guy made a living buying properties under suspicious circumstances for way below market value. He had done it at least 7 times before, always acting like he didn't know that anything was wrong. The authorities had been watching him but hadn't been able to make anything stick so far. My attorney also found out that my mom had used a notary who was in on the scam. The notary had notarized documents claiming to have witnessed my signature when I was literally in another country. That notary was now facing their own criminal charges. The forensic analysis of the sale documents was damning. The signature wasn't even a good forgery. A handwriting expert took one look and said it was obviously not written by the same person who had signed my actual mortgage documents and other legal papers over the years. The power of attorney paperwork was fake, poorly done, and had dates that didn't make sense. My mom had also made another crucial mistake. She had texted my sister during the sale process a lot, and my sister had texted back. Things like, "Are you sure this will work?" and "What if OP finds out?" and "I cannot believe we are really doing this." My attorney subpoenaed both their phone records. Every single message was evidence that they had both known exactly what they were doing here, and about 2 weeks after I got back, the police arrested my mom. She called me from jail, crying, begging me to drop the charges. "Please, baby, don't do this to me. I'm your mother. I was trying to help. You cannot send your own mother to prison." I told her that she had sent herself to prison when she committed multiple felonies against me. She started screaming then, calling me ungrateful, calling me heartless, and saying I was destroying our family over a house. I hung up, but my sister called next. She was panicking because the police wanted to talk to her too. "You need to tell them this was all Mom's idea. I didn't know what she was planning. You have to help me." I reminded her about the text messages. She went quiet and then tried a different approach. "Come on, you got your house back, right? Why are you being so vindictive? Just drop this and we can move on." I told her I did not have my house back yet, actually, because they'd committed fraud and now it was tied up in legal proceedings. And even when I did get it back, I was not dropping anything. They had committed serious crimes and there were consequences for that. The criminal proceedings took about many months total from arrest to sentencing. The civil case to void the sale moved faster because the fraud was so obvious. I had to testify at preliminary hearings, and I had to go through all the documentation again and again. My attorney was expensive and the whole thing was exhausting, but I never wavered. Every time my mom tried to call me from jail, I blocked her number. Every time a family member called to tell me I was tearing the family apart, I reminded them that my mom tore the family apart when she decided to commit felonies. The thing is, some people actually expected me to drop the charges. Distant relatives, family, friends, and even my mom's church group contacted me to say I should show mercy, that she had only been trying to help and that sending her to prison was going too far. One of my aunts actually said, "She's your mom. After everything she did raising you, this is how you repay her?" I shut that down fast. This was not about repayment. This was about my mom committing serious crimes because she decided her wants were more important than my rights. The criminal trials went well, the evidence was overwhelming, and my mom took a plea deal in the end. She got 5 years in prison with possibility of parole after 3, and she also had to pay restitution, which meant selling her house to cover my legal fees and the court-ordered damages. Those legal fees, by the way, came to about $45,000, and my sister also took a plea deal. 2 years in prison, 3 years probation, and she filed for bankruptcy, which wiped out some of her remaining debts but destroyed her credit for the next decade. The sketchy buyer got 3 years, the notary got 18 months and permanent revocation of their license, but here's where the karma really kicked in. Remember those loan sharks my sister owed money to? Well, it turns out just paying them off didn't make them go away. They'd been circling my sister and my mom, and when they found out my mom had sold a house to get that money, they decided that she was a good target for more business opportunities. My mom started getting the same threatening calls and messages my sister had been getting. The same people who had been threatening my sister were now threatening my mom, trying to get her to borrow more money from them to get deeper into their web. My mom ended up having to file her own police reports about the harassment, and the irony was not lost on me. The house sale was officially voided about 6 months after I got back, the deed was restored to my name, and I had to pay some legal fees to make it happen, but my attorney got most of those covered by the restitution order against my mom. When I finally got the keys back and walked into my house for the first time in months, it was one of the best feelings of my life. And yeah, the place needed some work. The buyers had been in there for a few weeks before the sale was voided and they hadn't been gentle, but it was mine again, really, legally, properly mine. I changed all the locks immediately and I also got a safe deposit box at a bank for all my important documents. Never again would I let anyone have access to that kind of paperwork. My mom served 3 years before she got paroled. I did not visit her once, I didn't write, I didn't take her calls. Some people think that makes me cold, and I think it makes me someone with boundaries. My sister got out after 2 years, and she tried to friend me on social media about a month after her release, but I blocked her. Then she tried calling from different numbers, but I blocked those too, and finally she showed up at my house one day. I opened the door and there she was, looking tired and older than she should have. "Can we talk, please?" I told her no, there was nothing to talk about. She had helped steal my house. She had participated in committing multiple felonies against me. We were done here. "I'm sorry, I was desperate. I didn't know what else to do." I reminded her that I'd offered to pay for rehab, I'd offered to help her get treatment, and she had chosen crime instead. That was on her. "You're never really gonna forgive me?" I told her that forgiveness was not the same as having a relationship. Maybe someday I would forgive her for my own peace of mind, but that didn't mean I would ever trust her again or want her in my life. Then I closed the door, and I have not heard from her since. My mom tried to reconnect after she got out too. She sent me a letter through my aunt saying she had a lot of time to think in prison and she understood now that what she had done was wrong. She wanted to make amends, she wanted to rebuild our relationship, but I did not respond. Some bridges once burned cannot be rebuilt. And yeah guys, by the way, if you would have been in an OP situation, would you have allowed to rebuild such a bridge between you and your entitled family? I think I would have never rebuilt that bridge. I mean, what they did cannot really be forgiven, at least in my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments. Either way, the whole experience changed me in a lot of ways. I'm more careful now about who I trust and what information I share, and I'm also more aware of my boundaries and more willing to enforce them, even when it is uncomfortable. Especially when it's uncomfortable, I also learned that you cannot set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. My mom and sister wanted me to sacrifice my security, my home, my future to fix a problem my sister had created through her own choices. When I refused, they decided to just take what they wanted anyway. They gambled that I would go along with it eventually and that family loyalty would trump everything else, but they were wrong. People ask me sometimes if I regret pressing charges, if I wish I'd handled it differently, and the answer is no. What my mom did was not a mistake or a moment of just pure poor judgment. It was calculated, premeditated fraud. She had spent months planning it and she took advantage of my trust when I'd been vulnerable and needed help. She stole my inheritance, my home and my security, and she thought she would get away with it because we are family. But being family doesn't mean that you get to commit crimes against someone without consequences. It doesn't mean you get a pass on fraud and theft and identity theft just because you claim you had good intentions. And by the way guys, imagine saying that, yes, I committed identity theft, but I did it with good intentions. I guess you can excuse everything with that if you have good intentions. And well, it definitely doesn't mean I'm obligated to let myself be victimized to save someone from the consequences of their own actions. My sister made choices that got her into debt, and my mom made choices that landed her in prison. Those were their choices, not mine. I just made the choice not to be their victim. I still live in my house, by the way. I fixed it up and made it really mine again. Sometimes I think about my grandparents and what they would think about all of this, and well, I would like to think they would be proud that I fought to keep what they left me, that I didn't just roll over and let someone else take it. And now we got some comments from Reddit, and the first one goes like this. "You're the a-hole, and honestly, you sound incredibly vindictive and cold-hearted. Your mom was trying to save your sister's life. She literally told you loan sharks were sending threatening photos, and you just didn't care? You had a whole paid-off house just sitting there while your sister was in actual danger, and you couldn't be bothered to help because of some moral high ground about enabling? And then when your mom did what any loving mother would do to protect her child, you sent her to prison? Your own mom for 5 years? Do you have any idea what prison does to someone, especially older women? Yeah, she sold your house without permission. Was it legal? No, but it was your house versus your sister's life. The fact that you valued your property over family tells me everything I need to know about you. You could have just let it go, worked something out, but instead you chose to destroy your entire family. Your mom gave birth to you, raised you and helped you through a medical emergency, and this is how you repay her? By making sure she loses everything and goes to prison? That is absolutely disgusting. You got your house back and got your mom's house sold to pay your legal fees. You completely ruined two people's lives over money and property. Your grandparents would be ashamed that you used their inheritance to send your own mom to prison. I genuinely hope you realize one day what you've done to your family. Someday you might need them and they won't be there, and you will deserve it. Edit, I don't care about the downvote, someone needs to say it. OP is a monster. And by the way guys, the only monster I see here while reading this story is the person who posted this comment. 100% disagree. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think OP was the a-hole here? And do you agree with the aforementioned comment or not? Let me know in the comments. The next one is an everyone sucks here comment, and it goes like this. Everyone sucks here, but honestly, you way more than your mom. Yes, your mom shouldn't have forged documents and sold your house. That was wrong and illegal. I'm not defending that, but you absolutely suck for how you handled this. Pressing charges, really? Against your own mom? There were so many other ways you could have handled this that didn't involve sending your family to prison. You chose revenge over family, and that makes you the a-hole here. Your mom made one desperate mistake trying to save her daughter. And by the way, guys, is committing families really just making a desperate mistake? It seems more premeditated than just making a simple mistake. Maybe that's just me. You made a calculated choice to destroy your family, and you didn't just get your house back, you got your mom's house too through restitution. You bankrupted your sister, you got them both prison records. Was your mom wrong? Yeah, but your response was disproportionate and cruel. This was a family matter that you turned into a criminal matter because you wanted revenge. The title literally says pro-revenge. You were not seeking justice, you were seeking vengeance. Also, you offered to pay for rehab but not to help with the debt. That's pretty controlling. I will help, but only on my terms and the way I decide. Your sister needed actual help with the immediate threat, and you said no. You valued your inheritance over your family's well-being. That makes you an a-hole, even if you were legally in the right. Your mom will have a felony record for the rest of her life because of you. Was your house really worth that? Comment number 3, not the a-hole, and anyone saying otherwise is absolutely delusional. Your mother committed multiple felonies. This was not a mistake or a moment of desperation. This was just planned, calculated, and deliberate. She had 6 weeks to stop and think about what she was doing. She didn't make one bad choice. She made hundreds of choices over the course of weeks to defraud you. The people saying, but she's family, need to understand that being family doesn't give someone the right to commit felonies against you. If anything, it makes it worse because she violated your trust. You offered legitimate help like rehab, therapy, counseling, and they refused because they wanted money, not solutions. Your sister's gambling addiction was not your responsibility to fund. Giving her 180k would have solved nothing and enabled her to continue gambling. The fact that your mom sold her house to pay restitution is just called consequences. The fact that your sister has a criminal record is called consequences too. They both participated in defrauding you and they both faced appropriate legal penalties. You're not required to let someone steal from you just because you share DNA. Family members who commit crimes against you are criminals first and family second. Anyone who thinks OP should have just let it go, would you let someone steal your house? Your entire financial security? Your inheritance from deceased loved ones? No. Then don't expect OP to do it either. 100% not the a-hole. You protected yourself and held criminals accountable. That's exactly what you should do. And the next one is a beautiful petty revenge story, and it goes like this. So this happened a week ago, but my nephew is still losing his mind over it and told me I should post it here for everyone to enjoy as well. So here we go. So I should preface by saying I only see my nephew every couple of months due to him being at his dad's or me not being able to come up when she has him. I, 33 male, went to visit my sister, 38 female, and nephew, 13 male, for 2 weeks. My nephew and I are really big gamers, though we are into different games. He loves playing Fortnite with me, while I enjoy things like Overwatch 2, Warframe, etc. By the way, guys, let me know in the comments, what game are you currently playing? To be honest, I've been wanting to play Battlefield 6 so badly because I really enjoyed the beta, and then I bought it on release, but ever since release I haven't had a single hour of free time pretty much to play the damn game. Now yesterday I tried to get into it, but even getting the mouse settings right and everything is just such a big endeavor. It might take me a while to actually start playing. Anyway, we were playing Fortnite and he was laughing hysterically because I cannot build quickly at all. Just can't do it, no matter how much he tries to help and teach me. Uncle, hit this button and then that one and that one and that one over there over to build a ramp. My sister's boyfriend, 39 male, been together like a year, comes in and not yells but raises his voice about my nephew using his controller. Mind you, it's normally okay, but randomly it's not today, snatches the controller from him and the game pretty much ends because we cannot play together. Well, here's the thing about me, I'm not a petty person, but the look in my nephew's eyes hit me really hard. I'm not a physical altercation person, but one that will use my resources to get even, so I tell my sister I'm taking the nephew for an hour to go out. We go to GameStop and I buy 2 controllers and then head back. We start playing and the boyfriend throws another fit. I show him the receipt and tell him they are my controllers, not his. The man-child boyfriend then says, well, it is his PS4. We leave again to head to GameStop, I buy him a new PS4 and we head back. Set it up and start playing. Man-child once again has a fit, receipts shown, and he says, well, it is his TV and games. I'm annoyed beyond relief at this point because it's not that serious. I don't want to spend that kind of money, but this is my only nephew and this man is being childish over this, so I pull my sister aside and tell her my nephew and I will be gone early tomorrow for half the day. She says it's fine, as I knew she would. Next morning we go to GameStop and I get him a ton of games. I say ton, but it was like 10 games, which is a ton. 2 extra controllers, a VR thing for it, and then got him a 42-inch TV from Walmart and a TV stand. Get it all back to my sister's house and set it up in the den. The boyfriend arrives later in the day, tries to start crap, but my lovely sister points out I bought it all and that she pays the internet so he cannot say anything about it anymore. Y'all, this man-child spent 4 hours sitting in the corner of the living room fuming, like full-on scowl for 4 hours. I was loving it since I could see him from where I was sitting. Nephew was oblivious. Sister had to keep hiding her smirk. He was mad as hell that his girlfriend's brother spent all this money just to be able to game with his nephew. My sister just saw it as he was being childish and I was making sure my nephew and I could enjoy something we like together. We spent all day playing Fortnite and having an awesome time. I've never felt so petty, but damn, it felt so good. No, I still cannot build to save my life. Yes, my sister can build better than I can, and also yes, she did game with us while he fumed, and she told me if I ever have kids that she will buy mine the latest and greatest game system when it's time, and we also try to play together every other night now, since my nephew now has no one to tell him that he cannot use his PlayStation or his controllers. Questions I was asked in the other community. My sister normally has a boyfriend like this for 1 or 2 years and then finds another one. It's complicated. It's one of those I can't fix him / lost puppy syndrome things. I didn't plan to go as far as I did with what I bought, so that's why I didn't get a PS5 in the beginning and everything was pre-owned from GameStop and the TV was a TCL, so only $160. A lot of the accessories were me feeding off my nephew's excitement at this store. And the next one is a petty revenge story that is titled, Gave a Grabby Guy at the Bar a Taste of His Own Medicine. So I was out at a club hanging with some girlfriends when a group of guys walked past. My girlfriend looked uncomfortable and I asked what was wrong. She told me one of the guys in the group had grabbed her butt. I asked which guy and followed them inside. I went right up to the guy in question and asked, hey, did you grab my girlfriend's ass? To which he smirked and responded, yeah, so? I didn't even think before I was reaching down to grab him by the balls. Really hard. He was screaming while I shouted, yeah, you like that? You like being grabbed by strangers, huh? I noticed his friends laughing at video recording, so I went up to one of them and dramatically tried to make out with him, which he was disgusted by. Security escorted me outside, but they were laughing. They said what I did was hilarious, but they had it handled. They didn't kick me out, but told me it was probably best if I went home for the night. And yeah guys, thank you for watching. I will see you again tomorrow, and please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already.